Grab a cup of tea or listen as you go, ladies. This is your hour with Dr. Zoe, your life and relationship coach. With encouragement, on-point insight, inspiring guests, health tips, and advice, Dr. Zoe helps busy women keep their mind in the game by redefining your superwoman. You're listening to The Dr. Zoe Show.
Welcome to the Dr. Zoe Show. We're all about redefining your superwoman here. I'm your host, Dr. Zoe. I'm a licensed psychotherapist with a doctorate in clinical psychology. I'm a life and relationship coach and a motivational speaker, and I can work with you virtually to help you get unstuck. My passion is helping women find their superpower, learn to embrace it, and share it with the world. Connect with me by texting the word join to 38470, or you can go to my website at drzoeshaw.com. So today's topic is courage and the strong woman. We are going to talk all about why you should have it, what it is, how you can get more of it, and how you can live it out in your life. But first, my superwoman win and my superwoman fail. And you guys know, if you're listening to the show for the first time, maybe you don't, but I share these things not because I ever want to wallow in my failures. I don't share them to be a negative person. I share my failures so that you can honor yours. I share my wins because we need to honor those too. But we also need to know that there are lessons from our failures and we've got to speak them and learn from them and move on. So my fail. I am still seriously struggling with sleep. I have recognized, and this is what happens when you evaluate yourself. So for me, sharing my wins and my fails every week, I have to actually sit down and examine my life. And it is so important to have an examined life. And that's a benefit I get of sharing this with you guys. But I have realized, and I think I finally came to this conclusion, that I do not have a respect for sleep. I see sleep as a waste of time. I don't like to sleep. And when I say I don't like to sleep, what I mean is I don't like to spend my time sleeping. I enjoy sleeping. I just don't like to spend my time sleeping because I have this, and I always have this idea that I'm missing out on life while I'm sleeping. And it's not really a healthy view of sleep. I don't have any issue sleeping. Like when I hit my head on the pillow, I'm out and I will sleep all night long. I don't have any insomnia. What I just have is an unhealthy view of sleep. So that's my fail. And I've finally figured out what's going on and why I don't sleep enough because I don't appreciate it. So my win, because I'm working on my deficits, is that I slept for 11 and a half hours. Now that's crazy. That is a record for me. For anyone who likes to sleep, you might be like, wow, big deal. That is a lifetime record. So I'm really trying to work on increasing my sleep health because I know that my sleep health sucks. And so there's my fail. And my win is I got 11 and a half hours, which is totally not necessary. But I needed it because I only got 2 hours the night before. So there you go. So on to courage. Let's talk about courage, women. Why courage? Courage because anything you know you are destined to do in this world takes courage. I don't believe that destinies are easily fulfilled or conquered, ever. And I don't believe that everyone lives up to their potential. In fact, most of us don't. And I'm not saying that to be a Debbie Downer. I'm really saying it to encourage you. Because even as I was thinking about encouragement and I wrote that word down, encourage, I realized that the word courage is the main word in encourage. We need courage to do the things that we were put on this earth to do. And what I recognize is that part of my calling in life is as a motivator and encourager. I do this for myself. I have learned to motivate and encourage myself, and I hope that you learn that as well. And I do it for you. So what does the word encourage mean? Of course, I had to look this up. So encourage means to stimulate an activity, state, or view to develop, meaning you're helping someone develop the courage to do that thing. Encourage means to give support or advice to someone to continue on. So when someone feels like they can't continue anymore, you encourage, you give them courage that's outside of themselves to help them continue on. So why do we need help with our courage? Why should we be encouraged? Brendan Burchard, I think, said it pretty well when he said, well, he studied this. So he didn't just say it. He said this as a result. This was a conclusion of a lot of his research, is that individuals who have more courage in their life also have more clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, and influence. And when he was talking about these, this was in his book, High Performers. He studied high performers to get an idea of who are these people and what qualities do they have. And one of them, of course, was courage. So why courage? There is something about touching destiny that is downright scary. There's something spiritual when we start to get close to our potential. And I really feel that God is in the mix. So deep down, you have an inkling of why you're here. I want you to think about that. I want you to sit with that for a second. Deep down, you have an inkling of why you are here, what you were made to do on this earth. Now, maybe it's screaming at you, because some people listen better and it screams at some people. And some people, it's just an inkling. Walking in courage helps you get closer to that potential. Walking in courage can change your life. Demonstrating courage means taking a first step towards real change in an unpredictable world. So, what things do courageous women do? How do courageous women walk out this courage? Courageous women accept their knowing and they stop doubting themselves. So when I talked about that knowing, there's that inkling that you have. If you have a drive, a passion to do something, you are supposed to do it. And I say that, and it sounds so simple, but I love hearing about other women's passion because it just highlights for me how unique we are and how our uniqueness is meant to shine. When I listen to other women talk about their passions, I'm often both bored and energized at the same time. And I love that because I'm bored because it's not my thing. But what energizes me is that I am dipping a toe in the passion of another woman's purpose. I can't tell you how many times a week someone says to me, I don't know how you do it. You listen to people's problems all day long, every day. Doesn't that depress you? Doesn't that bore you? I could never do that. I hear that all the time. I could never do that. Or isn't this boring for you? My clients will say the same things to me, like, I must be boring you. But that's because they were put here on this earth to do something else. I could never crunch numbers all day. I couldn't navigate a submarine, not because I can't physically or intellectually do those things, but because it's not my thing. The first step to being courageous is accepting your thing. And I've talked before about how long it took for me to accept my thing because I wanted to be somebody else. I wanted to be more academic. And even as I am in the process of shopping my memoir, I see colleagues writing more academic work, and I feel less than sometimes if I don't stay in my lane. But this is my lane, and I have to own it. Own your darn lane, ladies. A courageous woman accepts her weakness. Now, this is a tough one. I did a podcast interview not too long ago, and the woman I was interviewing was so very defensive. She was trying hard to deny, cover, and defend her weaknesses that her strengths couldn't even shine through. And I know she had strengths. That's why I wanted to interview her. I know she had gifts to share with the world, but they were dampened by her inability to be vulnerable and to look at herself honestly and to work on herself. I am a flawed woman. I am so very flawed. Some days I feel so much more flawed than others. And I'm not talking about outward appearance. I'm talking about inside. And sometimes I feel that the more I look at my flaws, the more they pop up. It's not true. I know that this is an illusion. They were always there. But I also know that I can't improve by pretending that they aren't there. I have to face them head on, and I have to know that by accepting them and working on them, that I am becoming a better person day by day, so that When I die, I will be so much closer to that self-actualized person. But that takes a little courage, sometimes a lot of courage. The courageous woman also surrounds herself with encouragers because she also encourages, and so she attracts encouragers. The courageous woman fights. She responds to life's challenges rather than avoiding them, and she sticks up for herself when it's hard. So a lot of that stuff might sound good, but you might be asking, well, I don't even know how to be courageous. I don't even know how to really live without my fear and self-doubt, because that's where I'm living. So here's what you need to do to take some steps to becoming a little more courageous. You first need to identify the things that you need to conquer. What is it you're afraid of? Failing? Letting your people down? Letting yourself down? Get even more specific. Some of the things I need to conquer: my fear of public speaking, my fear that people, you guys, won't like me. Those are very real things that I need to acknowledge and find the courage to conquer. Sometimes it helps to remember that fear is just chemicals. It's cortisol, it's adrenaline. It's your body tricking you that you need to run. Being courageous is not being afraid. It's learning to do the things despite your fear. Sometimes when you need to act in courage, try not to hesitate. That's a big one. I can think of when I needed to jump out of the plane, the thing I needed less than anything else was time. I needed less time so that I didn't think about the stupid ridiculousness of jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. So when you need to act in courage, try not to hesitate. Hesitating gives you way too much time to overthink the issue and decide to just back down. Instead, just move forward. A really great book that I read that's helped me with my courage is called Rejection Proof. I might have talked about it before on the podcast. It's by Zhao Zhang, I believe is how you say his name. I'll put the link in the show notes. But it really teaches you about learning to embrace rejection, learning to accept it, expect it, and just walk right through it. Courageous women start sometimes by finding small ways of stepping out of their comfort zones. So you can find small ways to step out of your comfort zone and work your way up, which is also known as gradual desensitization. So if you're afraid to leave your house, you can start with just putting your shoes on or opening the door, but not actually going outside, not telling yourself you need to go anywhere, but just starting that process. When that feels a little less scary, you can graduate to stepping on the porch, then taking steps down the driveway, then down the block, etc. Start small. Visualize yourself overcoming the thing. Speak as if you have conquered it. And I talked before about acting as if. You can literally talk yourself into becoming more courageous by acting as if. You can definitely have the courage of the lion. It just takes a little intention. So today I encourage you. And Seth Godin said it best when he said, at some level, this might not work is at the heart of all important projects, of everything new and worth doing. I love that quote because so many times we're doubting ourselves and saying this might not work. And to recognize that that is at the heart of anything worth doing is so important. So you go out and you do your thing, and you let fear be your acquaintance and courage your best friend. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Dr. Zoe Show. New shows go up on Tuesdays. Subscribe so you don't miss a show or an episode. And if you're interested in coaching or therapy, or you just want to get a little more help, go to my website at drzoeshaw.com or any of my social medias at the handle Dr. Zoe Shaw. Join my free newsletter by texting the word join to 38470. I look forward to speaking with you wonderful ladies on social media throughout the week. Have a super week.
You've been listening to The Dr. Zoe Show, redefining your superwoman, with your host, Dr. Zoe Shaw. Don't forget to sign up for her monthly newsletters to get encouragement, tips, and skills for keeping your mind in the superwoman game. Connect with her now at www.drzoeshaw.com. Tell your friends and subscribe to her podcast on iTunes. Join us next time for another edition of The Dr. Zoe Show.